Well, it's difficult to know where to begin with a band who've been together in one form or another for nigh on 20 years. But that does raise my first point. Quo have had very few personal changes considering the amount of time you've been together. Francis, what's the secret?
Why pick on me? What's the matter with him?
Oh, well, we'll ask Scarlett.
No, you ask it first, you've got to stick to your gun.
That's right, I agree with him.
Okay, go on. What's the secret?
Well, what about me?
Yeah. Right, being
That's
serious.
why we stuck together. We've, sort of been serious with one another, aren't we?
What?
About sticking together.
Yeah. What's the secret? I don't think there's a secret. May have been the fact none of us have been with any other bands to start with. We went to school together and...
You don't feel the need?
We could have split, say, in '69 and gone our own way, but then by that time we'd got to know each other enough to stick out a rough patch, which is what we did. And then when you become successful, as we did, I think we did. Wait a minute. Yeah. When you become successful, then people may knock you for it, status quo saving and so on and whatever else. But then they'd say you were stupid to change it after you're on a winning streak.
Talking of personnel changes, is there much difference in sort of drumming style between Pete Kershaw, your latest signing, as it were, and John Cogman? Alan?
Well, as you know, Pete came in at the beginning of the latest album, and John's been with us for a long time, so there is a difference in style. But as far as status quo is concerned, the type of music we play, it's just mainly an energetic type of drum we need. It's got a creative feel and keep good time. And Pete is a good enough drummer to fit in perfectly with what we do. It certainly shows on the new album anyway, that he fits in well. That's why we chose Pete, of course. We've worked with him before in the past. So,
yeah, because he worked on your latest album, didn't he? As a standing drummer, and you decided to have him for full time, didn't you?
That's right, yeah. Pete can also sing. He seems to look right into the music. He's got a creative feel, and as I say, we've worked with him before, so it was no secret. And he fit in straight away, slotted right in.
Francis, is Andy Brown an official Quo member now?
This is a difficult one. No, it's not at all. Now, Andrew's been with us. Andrew played on, he played some stuff on Power Drive, he played some stuff on Hello. And just to clear another point, we had brass and all sorts on those early albums, just so people couldn't hear them. We knew they were there, so we brought them back so far. That's why we got a lot of stick over brass and lady singers. On one of the, what was it, Can't Stand the Heat or something like that.
Yeah, in fact, Andy, really, as Francis said, he's been in the band for quite a long time. The thing with Quo is that we base our music on energy and a hard driving kind of pulse. Well, lately, we've been, in the last 7 or so years, we've had lots of extra bits to do on stage. Our audiences have wanted to hear the extra bit, so to speak. And to do that, it means one of the guitarists having to break down the rhythm fill. So we've always used Andy on stage to do those extra bits. And really, he's been part of the band for quite some time, but an unofficial member. But now, this year, our 20th anniversary, we've made him official member. So he's part of the band now, full package. We're a fivesome at last, officially. All right?
I didn't think that. Hang on, just a minute. I
Hang
didn't
on. Stop the tape.
Well, I spoke to you with Sydney about that.
He did, you're right. No, it's just that making, as Alan said, an official thing. And like I asked yesterday about it, is it official that Andrew's in the... Well, for us to say it's official now, when he's been more or less a permanent member since '74, is silly. But then again, from a press point of view, it has to be at some time, is it official now? So from that point, it's official. But he's been with us since '74, so it's a bit odd.
That's right. So I think the basic difference is does Andy have his photographs done with the band?
Yeah,
is he included with as the from our albums? Is he part of the album 100%? Well, the answer to that is yes. So really, he's an official member now.
Cross that one off then. I'll cross
Right, cross that one off, right?
Right, we're down to here now.
I'm actually going to ask a question which isn't written down here.
I can't.
No, this is terrible, isn't it? You mentioned brass earlier on. Yeah, just a few minutes
you mean
ago.
saxophones?
I don't think you haven't bothered with brass on the latest album, have you?
No, I haven't bothered with anything.
Back to basics?
Yeah, we've been trying, I suppose, to get back to basics.
Brass
Since Brass in the Hotel, yeah. Since Rocking All Over the World album. Any band goes through door opening, goes through a process. We started off with the Power Driver album, and the way we recorded that, in terms of recording technique, was wrong. It was all the wrong way. And so from then on, we started to try and improve the sound. We slowly did, until we came to Rocking All Over the World, and we really did go a strong move into recording technique, or recording correctly, if you like, which left it, for us, the album was too clinical, clinical. Technically, it was correct sound-wise. If you soloed any one instrument, this is what you heard. Whereas in the old days, if you soloed the bass, you heard me and the rest of them, and if you soloed me, you heard the rest of them. It was, and we tried to move on slowly, and after rocking all over the world, it was whoops, that was too much. So we tried to get more overspill, going back a little, and it seems that it's taken us this long to get it on this album. I think we came close on Proposing, but this is close because this is the only album for since On the Level or Blue for You that we've recorded in the same place, recorded and mixed, all in the same place, and that has made a difference.
Where was the latest album recorded?
In a studio.
Fine. It's got to be for a serious answer.
I missed that. Go on. No, you're talking about brass. I think the guitars, in status quo, have got a sound like brass. That, when you're thinking about colours like overdubs on their music, the first thing that comes to mind is brass, because it's closely related, to the guitars. It's got that type of sound. So I think what Francis was trying to explain is in the past, the first thing that comes to mind is, we'll put a brass bit on that to do the odd little bits and pieces here and there, whereas the guitars can actually take over that role. So the brass sound is kind of related to Quo, but it's also wrong for us to do it because we've got to reproduce it on stage as well.
Yeah.
Can I ask you about Bob Young? I can't ask you that.
You could, yes. Next question.
Well, that's the next written down one.
I might be right in thinking Bob Young's no longer.
Yeah. What's Bob Young doing these days?
Your knees jumping again. He's in publishing, which I think is again one of our companies somewhere along the line. Something to do with Status organisation.
He does his own thing. He still writes a lot. He's writing a lot of good songs lately, and he's also a publisher of Quarry Music. And he also performs a bit, he does. I think he's made an album now, hasn't he?
Yeah,
you know more about Bob.
Solo albums, and he's done a couple of solos. Him and Mickey Moody, they've done. He did one with the Nolans recently. He put together a track with himself, Mickey Moody, Lemmy. Is it Lemmy out of Motorhead? Of course it is.
Yeah.
And a couple of the Nolans. It was a good single, and I think it charted somewhere in the 50s or somewhere.
Did it?
I thought it was going to go better, but
I think we're a band of making the people around, trying to make the people around as happy as we possibly can. And I think Bob's role of a tour manager was really outdated because he wanted to be a writer and performer, and that's what he went into. The same with John, really.
Yeah.
I mean, the last 5 years. I suppose you're going to get to that in a minute, aren't you? All right.
What's the next one?
I'll just have a check and see if he's got to that yet now.
Now, what I wanted to know is, do you still do Roadhouse Blues on stage? Because that was used to be his starring role, wasn't it? The harmonica on Roadhouse Blues.
Yeah, we still do Roadhouse Blues. It's nostalgic reasons as well as reasons for it going down well on stage, and we still have to play. It's the original Quo beat, if you like. It's old as the hills, but we still have to play it on stage. The harmonica's been taken over really by Andy on keyboards. So I personally prefer the harmonica still, but it's one of those things you have to change with the times.
That's right. Now, what I wanted to talk to you about as well was the Queen's Hall gig that I saw you. Well, not the Queen's Hall, actually. It's the Town Hall in Leeds, where I first saw you back in 1973. And if I remember rightly, they introduced a 96 decibel limit there soon after your show. Probably because you were playing too loud, I think, for them.
That is a load of bull about decibels being damaging to the ears. It's all according what type of noise ratio you've got. If you've got a room padded out with mattresses and somebody plays the sound very, very loud, then you're going to get ear fatigue. If you've got a big hall and the noise is loud but it's transparent, it might be louder than in a padded room, but you won't get ear fatigue. So that it's very debatable subject about if loudness is damaging to the ears. It's all according how much noise ratio is introduced. It's to do with transparency of sound. If the sound's transparent, then you won't hurt your ears.
Because you've been rehearsing in a room down here at
You call it what you like, we call it box.
Because it's a fairly small room, and you do play very loud in that small room. I would have thought it could well damage your ears, especially after doing it. Yeah.
That is where it becomes damaging in a small room like that, I suppose. That's when it's dodgy, so to speak.
Now, before being on the Vertigo label, you were with Pie for 5 years, with relatively little success. Do you think signing to Pie was a mistake, looking back?
No, we had a hit record with Pie.
Which was?
Matchstick Men, what's up with you? That's the first contract. We got a contract. I mean, in the old days, to get a contract was major important. They could put that under age of status or wherever you were. Pay recording artists. That meant something, you know. Whereas everybody has a contract these days, otherwise. So that was very important to us, and it was down to John Schroeder and. Well, no, it was Ronnie Scott and John Schroeder. Ronnie Scott was a publisher. I'll get it out there for you. Right. Questions shuffling around here.
Making me look very unprofessional.
No, you're doing a grand job. We should keep your knees still, though. You're rubbing legs here. And what's his name? Ronnie Scott gave us a publishing contract and introduced us to John Schroeder to get us a contract with Pye. So I thought it was wrong because it was our first part of our career. I'll get him a light. Get him a light. That's it. Light is up. He's getting his cigarettes lit and everything here. Oh, they both are. And it was just after a while it was wrong because we had a set full of stuff that we were forced into doing because of the climate at the time. It was so-called soul boom when we came out of Butlins in '65, and we had a hit record in '68 with Matched It Men, which again was totally different from anything we'd done before.
That was originally supposed to be a B-side, wasn't it?
Yeah, duff idea that was, wasn't it? Good job we pushed to get the other way around, yeah. And it was just after that we were trying to get recognition for playing or getting a reaction out of an audience that was genuine. That's the best way we can describe it, as opposed to 1,200 people being there, 200 have come to see you because you were on TV last night, and the rest are there because they know the Birds are going to be there, because that's where everybody's going to be. But nobody was really interested in you. So for us to play in a club to say 30 or 60 people, and those people at the beginning be not too interested, and by the end were definitely interested, was far more of a buzz for us, or far more rewarding. I speak well sometimes. So then, from then on, it was trying to convince Pye that what we were trying to do was going to be commercially successful. I understand their vision at the time, thinking, no way is it, because nobody would play our records and nobody would let us play in their clubs or anything. Our name was too unfashionable.
Did you find in the Beans again? Did you find that in the sort of late '60s, early '70s, that in the sort of dark ages, as it were, that you weren't having too much success? Did you ever consider giving up?
It's the same old cliche. If we knew then what we know now, perhaps we wouldn't have stayed together. It's 20 years. It's it's a long time, and I think originally why you start out in this business is you've got visions of glamour and money and trips around the world, etc., etc. But of course that does happen. But it's probably one of the most unglamorous businesses going. This business is all it's really all work and long hours. And to make money is very, very difficult in the business, So, although I think that the main reason that we stayed together is because we liked what we were doing. I think if you like what you're doing and you stick to it, eventually you're going to become successful. Getting back to the question, which was...
I forgot what the question was, actually, but... yeah. Did you think of splitting up when you were having no success?
As I said, no. I didn't think of splitting up because we was enjoying what we were doing, and we still enjoy what we're doing to a certain degree. But it was like 7 nights a week playing to all the small clubs and concert halls around Europe, and it's very, very, very difficult to keep that energy up. So as the years went by, you think, oh, next year it's going to be good, the next year it's going to be good, and before you know where you are, it's 20 years gone. So here we are still. So if we ever thought of giving it up, it was the next year, and we're still there 20 years later thinking, oh, the next year, but it's all right now.
Right. Can I just change the tack of the conversation entirely by asking, first of all, Francis, what's your hobbies, if you haven't?
You skipped a question here, I'm not having that. This is the bit, changing the subject entirely.
Oh,
what sort of music do you like when you are relaxing?
No.
None. When you're relaxing. No, all sorts of music. I believe all of us. I mean, everybody. What we call punters. You leave here now, get in the car, you either like it, you decide then and there, you like it or not. It's only later you decide, oh, that's not right, image-wise and so on. Usually I find giving half a dozen artists does not give a fair idea of anybody's taste in music. Mine go from, say, the Everly Brothers to, too many.
I remember hearing a Star special that you did on a certain national radio station. Do you remember doing that?
Yeah, it was dreadful, thanks. I do remember.
I've still got that on tape somewhere. You picked a Bob Dylan track, didn't you? Do you remember?
Well, Watch the River Flow, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you?
I thought it was great.
When that came out, we thought Bob Dylan had chucked, fabulous. We were still touring like 7 days a week, 365 days a year at the time. And 64, never worked Christmas Day.
Bit of a cool song for Bob Dylan to record, I remember you commenting on.
At the time, it was for him, yeah, because he wasn't supposed to do anything like that. He wasn't supposed to be electric or.
No,
It was
12
wonderful.
bar or
Yeah,
anything
it was
like
great.
You thought about doing that track yourself?
Yeah, bloody hard it is. He has this way of, yeah, he has this way of expressing his.
This is where stereo
can't keep it.
microphones come in handy, folks.
He's over there.
Yeah,
Come over here. Sorry, go ahead, Frank.
Sorry. What are we up to?
Right, now, what's the next one? Oh, yes.
The next one is changing to something like that. And what about Hobbit this way? So you
Yeah,
jumped the gun there.
Now, I'm amazed that you've always got so much material up your sleeve for future albums. I take it neither of you found writing a problem, Alan?
Oh, well, we found it a problem, all right. It's quite interesting what you're saying about what music do we relax to. It's hard to relax to music because you tend to analyse it all the time and listen to what each individual member's doing. I think we can relax to any music, providing it's good, and we don't actually analyse it. And when it comes to writing, you tend to think of quo all the time. You think that's our priority, status quo, so we have to write for status quo. So when I write a song, and the same with France and all the band really, we have to relate to quo. And we may get a good song together and think to ourselves, oh, that's not right. But in the back of our mind, it could be right for somebody else.
Mm.
So that's the difficulty in writing. Where do we stop? You know, do we just write for status quo all the time, or do we carry on with a song with the possibility of it being good for somebody else?